time in a day in following a National Party Member of Parliament on industrial relations legislation and just about agreeing with them. I mean, it's sort of my colleague who was on the select committee and Tohanare, the pair who share the hairdresser. Mr. Speaker, I think that the vast majority of what that member said I can agree with. He's right. He's got it. I think, Mr. Speaker, it's if I was Sir Roger Douglas, I would be slightly insulted that a junior backbencher was sent down to deliver the government position. I think the tradition is that a minister takes the first call on this sort of legislation to state the position for the government, because a minister is part of the government and a backbencher, of course, is not. But, I know that procedural niceties are not that important as far as this government is concerned, and I think that Sir Roger's not that sensitive anyway, and he probably wouldn't realise that Kate Wilkinson was a minister at the moment in any case. Kate Wilkinson, I understand, is the Minister of Labour and Conservation. But I want to say to Sir Roger Douglas, what happened to his principles? What happened to his principles? He knows that he doesn't believe in minimum wages at all. Why did he bring into the House something which he thinks is a half-cocked, halfway approach to it? Why didn't he stand up? Why didn't he stand up in the House and say what he really believes? And that is that there shouldn't be any minimum wages at all for anyone. That's what he believes, and the people who come in to clean up the pig farm, it doesn't matter whether they're an adult or a kid, he can set their rate, he can decide as an employer what the rate should be, because that is his position, because he believes in the total power of the employer and not having a fair and balanced employment relationship. And I want to say that there are a few fairly simple arguments against this. One, we were all waiting for the evidence from Sir Roger about the massive problems that have occurred as a result of the introduction of youth rates. And they just didn't come. And the reason they didn't come, Mr. Speaker, was because he couldn't find the evidence of the problems that have occurred here. And there's a clear argument in equity now for paying people properly. And most people in New Zealand accept that. Most New Zealanders believe that all people should be paid in a dignified and proper way for their labour, and it doesn't matter whether it's a younger person, an older person, or a person who is in the main section of the workforce. And I say again to Sir Roger, a few of us would have thought more of him if he had come down to this House and said what he really believed, if he told the full truth as to ACT's opinion on the minimum wage, rather than the half or part truth approach that he took with this bill, which I think that his colleagues, his funders, his mates in the business roundtable, or especially most of them actually wouldn't agree with him, but certainly Mr Kerr and others who helped draft the legislation, I'm certain would say that this is not the best approach from their perspective at all. The final point that I want to say is that I don't think the National Party went far enough. My view is that having decent wages forces employers to train. They've got to make their workers productive. They've got to earn their money. It forces them to invest in proper capital equipment, because if they're paying someone a decent wage, they've got to have the right gear in order to make sure that the employer gets the return. We've got a choice in New Zealand. Do we want a high-wage, high-skill economy, or do we want to compete at the bottom end with India and a number of countries like that? Roger Douglas wants our wages to go down. Labor wants them to go up. Nationals say they want them to go up, but in real terms they're keeping them down.
Jackie Blue.